Okay, so during the breakdown part, I'm not willing to go for that. They exploit your open mindedness because it's just accept that. They're right off the bat. This isn't true what I'm going to say. Let's just accept it. Let's adopt it. But I did not research about Landmark before I went to this because I wanted to experience it myself. I didn't want to get a bunch of arguments about why people saw it this way or that way or the other. I wanted to see it as myself, and then I went and researched it. Um, before I stayed up late the third night before the end, the last half day, and that first day, I wasn't accepting. I wasn't going to accept this stuff. And when he started berating my fellow employees for every complaint they had, which were very professional in reality, it's annoying because some people, like he said, oh, it's like popcorn. We're just going to cook and cook, and then there's going to be a few pop, 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 and then everybody's going to pop, 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 and then in the end there'll be a few that are going like pop, 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 and that pop, that's our transformation. And it's like part of what's going on is there's people that want to use this or at some point in their life or are more sympathetic to this method or whatever, and they're trying to it's like they're trying to have a spiritual moment. It's like they're in church trying to talk to God the Christian way, and you're there telling them their non-Christian stuff, and that is why it's not working. Because even though there may not even be, well, there isn't, I don't believe, a Christian God, but I mean, even for the people that want to get that inspiration in the church, they could actually think, oh, there's no God. But you have to do the hypnosis. You have to go through that process. And, and so people are like, so I started getting a reputation as one of the, skeptics or non cooperative types. Now, it was ironic to me because a lot of the time that was because I have the vocabulary, the concept vocabulary, to know what the fuck was going on, what they were fucking trying to do. I mean, the guy, I think it was the third day mentioned Heidegger. I saw the Heidegger in that shit. It's there's existentialism influence in it. But see, that's the thing. I mean, on the second day, someone stood up and, was like, hey, let's try this. I see people not accepting being skeptical, and let's try it. Let's put it on. You don't have to believe it forever. Just believe it today. Just like, yeah, you know what? You let somebody change your mind a day, you might not be able to change it back tomorrow. I actually probably would be able to change it back tomorrow as well as most people that could claim such a thing. But a lot of those people out there, certainly the ones standing up, so let's just give it a chance. Once the stuff's in there, they won't even know where it is anymore. I know that. You know why? Because I'm the one that knows where it is. Why? Because the way I approach this is specifically, my goal was to find out what the philosophy was and the means they used to convey it. We've done this thing before. I've talked to people that came out of this thing. They have no fucking clue what the actual methods were. Okay? They know the terms, the language, and ideas that this thing teaches a little bit. They don't understand what that picture adds together. What kind of philosophy is it? You know, what kind of philosophy is it? What other philosophy is it similar to? What is it not similar? No, there's no some rules, some gimmicks that if you feel mad at someone, you could use this gimmick. Okay. But more importantly, is this, well, what is this methodology they use to create it? And I was glad I didn't research it ahead of time so that I could see it for myself because um, it is such a stereotypical thing. The idea is you break people down by making them admit they're worthless. Whatever they don't like about life, you can use that to make them feel they're the problem and they're worthless. And at some point, you're telling them, hey, this emotional pain, you can get rid of it just by blanking yourself out. Blank your future, you know? And as I said, it's true that what you do at a particular time, or did I say this before? They had this one good insight that, they got some of this stuff from Buddhism stuff. There's some ideas in there. Okay. But, the fact that our present, we think of our present as a product of our past. Okay. And they like to point out, and I do very much agree with this, this is something worth remembering. But that it's more the anticipation of your future. The reason it seems like your past makes it up is because the way you feel in the present is because that is what you have used to build your anticipation of the future. So they sort of say blank yourself out. Okay, you release all that pain, but then you're nothing. Then you're a blank sheet they can put ideas on. Okay, now I say what you really do is you shouldn't totally blank yourself out in that way. You know, you should always be more true to yourself than that. You should never be that simplistic about your problems. It's a brute force technique. So anyway, he was berating a colleague of mine. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're blaming the victim. And yes, I know people sometimes harbor complaints so they can continue to pump some emotional satisfaction machine, and you know they'd rather do that than get rid of the complaint. But I don't know anybody that I work with that's like that. Certainly not the guy he was berating. This guy, he got fucking right in my face. Right in my face. And he's not yelling at me, but he's got the mic and he's talking real, you know, motivational speaker voice. And I mean, he's right in my fucking face, 2 or 3 inches away. I mean, lots of people talk to me afterwards about it. He's right in your face, and you had a tough day, which was kind of funny because I didn't really have a tough day, but I did battle with the guy, you know. Then it got easier the second and third day because they back off a little bit. They admit a little more. Well, these are just gimmicks. These are just ways to look at something, you know, different. Now, the big problem is that it all becomes controversial because of this technique, and in a way, we become less critical of what they teach. Because look at me, even me, I'm here like, well, what they teach isn't so bad because uh, you just to be balanced, you want to admit that. But the fact is, what they teach is a bunch of gimmicks. Okay, gimmicks. Okay, if you already knew the ways in which your past is not always beneficial, the way you view and interpret it is polluting your future, any concept, even anywhere along those lines. Then you go to Vanto, oh, it gets you thinking about that again. You apply maybe a little bit of the perspective you get from the sort of gimmicky Vanto things you would do, and you add that together with your way of handling it that's evolved more healthy and natural over a long period of time, and that could all work out. Okay, but see, that means you already could have had the answers on your own, and being sent to contemplate it for a week might have worked just as well as going to a seminar like this. um, if you don't have a mechanism like that and you go to Vento, then this is very dangerous. And an emotionally disturbed person should not go and have these gimmicky techniques. They're wild cards. They're freebies. They're get out of jail free cards. They are ways of understanding how to manipulate your own emotions without solving the problem that your brain recognized that led to those emotions. Okay, I trust my emotions more than that. I too went through thinking, oh, emotions are petty. Look how they're constantly dragging everything down. But you don't become Mr. Spock, though I love Mr. Spock. But you don't try to get rid of your emotions or bottle them. You've got to learn how to process them. And I don't know, I think the Vento methods, they would argue it's about processing it. But really, I think it's about sidestepping. And it can be productive to sidestep something, but you need to figure out how crazy you were to come up with your interpretation in the first place. If you interpret, oh, that person's rude and doesn't value my opinion, and then you let it go because that's just your racket and you don't really know that. Maybe they were busy, blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, you find out, yeah, they don't value your opinion. They weren't listening to you. You just learn that again. You just feel emotionally better for 6 months till you realize, oh, yeah, you were right. I mean, it's just, okay. The last thing is I have had a really hard time the last day or so recovering from this, breaking this shit and trying to get it all out of my head clearly. It's usually never this difficult.